6A, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville approving a demolition permit and use permit and design review at 6315 Vallejo Street. Maru?
Good evening, Mayor Davis and council members. This item was reviewed by the council on December 19th, and the council continued to allow time for the applicant to make certain modifications. Before I go into that, just a quick recap as to what the project is. The site is at Vallejo Street between 63rd and 64th. The project involves demolition of an existing single-family home and replacing that with constructing 3 new units. There are 2 buildings. The building facing Vallejo Street, the parking is accommodated for all the 3 units on the lower level, and the upper level is unit number 3, and it's about 900 square feet. There's a building in the rear, and that accommodates the other 2 units, which are about 1,100 and 1,200 square feet. At the December 19th meeting, the council had certain concerns and requested certain modifications to be made. One was introducing a pedestrian entry feature such as an arbor, a change to propose vertical siding to horizontal siding, inclusion of some kind of decorative doors, inclusion of glass on garage doors, and realignment of the driveway in order to reduce the width of the curb cut. The applicant has submitted revised plans, and all but one concerns have been addressed. Applicant has introduced an arbor, which is right here, and I'll show you the elevation in just a second. And this, you can see this in the elevation right here. The second one was changing the vertical siding to horizontal siding, and this has been done. You can see this in the elevations. Making the garage doors more decorative. These are the little glass panes on top of the garage doors. And as far as the realignment of the driveway is concerned, the applicant did provide a proposed plan to reduce the curb cut. However, when staff reviewed the driveway, we felt that the cars would not be able to maneuver back, and it would not work. We did suggest that a possibility would be moving the entire building back so that there is more ample space for the cars to move out. But this would mean moving both the buildings back, and that would involve rear yard variance. Also, it would reduce the amount of open space for the residents of both the buildings. Staff believes that the applicant has made a good faith effort to realign the driveway, albeit not very successfully. However, staff does believe that applicant's proposal, as in the past, of providing wheel strips for the driveway lengths may not look as bad as one may think, and I've got some pictures.
Providing what? Say that again.
I'm sorry. So that the applicant is now proposing, regarding the driveway width, they want to, basically, it's going to stay the same as it was before.
Okay, yeah.
And what is also going to stay the same as before are the wheel strips. And to give the council an idea of how these wheel strips might look like, there's a project on West Oakland, on Magnolia and 32nd, and which has successfully used wheel strips.
Oh, I see.
And I'm going to show you some more. I can sort of zoom in on any picture if the camera
Could you, maybe the lower right-hand corner, could you kind of, just for me for a second? So this is, in these Oh, I see. So the tall stuff hits the divider beam, and the grass is what would be straddled by the tires.
That's right.
Have we required these on any other projects?
Yes, we have required that on a couple of projects where there were a couple of condo conversions, and one of the conditions of the condo conversion was to remove the paving, which was completely paved driveway, and remove that with wheel strips.
Okay.
I believe that the stormwater-related amendments to the zoning ordinance that were passed by the council last year sometime also now requires wheel strips instead of solid driveways in residential developments.
Okay.
So with this, I would like to end my presentation, and my staff recommendation is that the council approve the demolition permit and the use permit and design review for the 3 proposed units. If
I
there are
will
any
so move.
questions, I would be happy to answer.
It's a public hearing, Ken.
Okay.
The public hearing is open. Any comments? Public hearing is closed. What is the pleasure of the council?
I move staff recommendation.
Second?
I'm going to vote no on this for the reasons that I stated at the last meeting.
All right, call the roll, please, Karen.
I'm sorry. I've still got a concern here. I'm ready to support the staff recommendation, but I have 2 concerns. First of all, with regard to the landscape wheel strips, I would like to see that added to page 16, that requires, which would require, put that in the language of the approval, that the wheel strips be maintained permanently, so that we don't just get them in and then drive over them and say, well, the tires wrecked them and we don't have to do this anymore. That it would be a condition that has to be maintained indefinitely, not just when they finish building it. It's page 16, paragraph C1, that talks about the landscaping improvements. Right. And it seems like the most logical place to go, and I would just like some language that makes sure that the wheel strips be added to that section as part of the landscaping that has to be maintained.
I don't object, but is anybody really going to enforce that?
Well, if they let them go and it just becomes another, source of hardscape instead of what we're requiring here, then yeah, we've got.
Yeah, do you
well-
accept the amendment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anything else, Dave?
Yeah, one other, Maru, where in the diagram, because that's part of the public record, where in the diagram of the design are the wheel strips actually labeled? It's just the writing gets so small, I can't find it. If it's there on some of these diagrams, I'm missing it.
It's in the landscape plan, page 7. I'll put it up in just a moment. It shows the wheel strip detail.
Right.
So, and the wheel strips, I mean, maybe, this is the wheel strip, and from the plans on the site plan.
Yeah,
so
but I want to look at the site plan and see where,
On the site plan, it does not call out for the wheel strips.
okay, is there any reason that those couldn't be labeled on this diagram that's the overhead that shows everything? So it's clear where the wheel strips are?
Where else could they be but
Certainly
in the
do that.
driveway?
Well,
To whose benefit?
it's going to matter what we ask people to maintain. If you don't make it clear, and it's not clear to me from looking at the diagram, frankly. So I don't see what's wrong with labeling. If
But
it's
you just
something,
put them in the conditions of approval.
yes, but what I'm trying to do is eliminate a vagueness about
Councilmember-
what are the wheel strips.
Vice
That's what
Mayor
I'm trying to
Cassis?
do. Yes.
If you, on the plans that were provided, page 2, which is sort of a, you might call it a site plan, I guess?
Talking about it's got a 2 in the lower right-hand corner?
Correct.
Okay.
On the bottom area, you'll see it says, see diagram 1 for wheel strip detail.
Okay.
You follow that?
And that goes to one of those darkened areas.
Correct. And that
Okay.
goes, and then if you go to the very last page, page 7, and it says adjacency map, and it has a wheel strip detail.
Okay, I've got page 7. It says what? Oh, and that's what Maru was pointing out a moment
Yeah.
ago. Okay, as far as you're concerned, is that,
That's fine. I think the more
definite enough
important
for
one
us to enforce?
was the language that you added as well. I
okay,
think
all right, thank you.
Are we ready to
I-
call the
I'm-
roll?
I'm ready
Call
to
the
go.
roll, please.
Councilmember Bukowski?
Aye.
Councilmember Fricke?
No, and I'd like the reasons why I'm voting no to be in the record. The following reasons, I think, make this project worse than what's there now. The frontage has 3 garage doors facing the sidewalk. There's no front door. The existing building is human scale. It has 1 driveway. It has a front door. This is 3 garage doors, no front door. It will require a curb cut for the entire width of the parcel. This exists on my street currently, and it's a very ugly treatment. I also want to reiterate my objection to the so-called one-bedroom units. It violates the zoning ordinance. The definition that I found in the zoning ordinance is a bedroom means number of rooms available predominantly as sleeping quarters. And these one-bedroom units are larger in square footage than most two-bedroom houses. It certainly is larger than our house before we renovated. So what these units really are two-bedroom units. And I think that they're being called one bedroom simply to get around the parking requirement of the zoning ordinance. I don't necessarily agree with the parking requirement in the zoning ordinance, but this, I think, is a violation of the zoning ordinance, and I think that this body should respect the law of the zoning ordinance. Lastly, I think it's a bad design because there's a unit right above these 3 garages. There's a bedroom right above a garage, and I think that that's another terrible design. Lastly, the photos that were shown to us, I agree, look great, but you'll notice in those photos that those are units that have a front door. Those are units that have only 1 driveway. That is a human scale. If this project was truly like the photos that were shown to us, which it is not, then I would be more inclined to support it. But it is a fraud to show us those photos as an indication that this project will be like those. That is not the case. So for those reasons, I'm voting no, and I would like it in the record.
Continue the roll call, please.
Councilmember Cassis?
Give me just a moment, please. I want to finish looking at the photographs. It looks like the widest curb cuts in these photographs are for 2 garages, not 3 like we
Yeah,
have here.
that's because there are units lined up. There are a number of properties that are lined up, so they put the garages next to each other. But this
Right.
is not, so that each unit has 1 car width curb cut. It is not a curb cut the length of the entire street, which is what this would be if you had multiple properties.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, I understand your concern, John. I'm okay with this. I'll vote aye.
Vice Mayor Atkins?
Was that an aye?
That was an aye.
It was.
Aye. I'm an aye.
Mayor Davis?
Aye.